Forbes has just released an article that describes many of our favorite altcoins as zombie chains. In other words, coins that we should sell because they're useless, basically is what they're saying. So in this video, I will be breaking down the article you can see behind me, but more importantly, and I never really wanted to come back to this, I will be reviewing James from Invest Answers video talking about this. You can see here, Forbes zombie chains, the shocking truth, because he actually supports what Forbes says. Now, I haven't reviewed the whole entire video yet. I've reviewed it in part on the private community. So, of course, if you want to join that for the insights, join down below with one of the links in the description. But ultimately come to the decision, are the coins that we currently hold bad? Did we overlook a lot of the bad problems with these coins? Should we have not purchased them, and should we sell, or are they okay? All right. There's no shots here at James from Invest Answers, mind you. I am passionate about this, though, because I've had a few people from my private community reach out to me and literally say they are going to sell their coins without even thinking about the coins themselves, why they bought in. So this is quite personal to me because I actually want to look after my community, especially the guys who, want to pay to be in my private community. I owe it to them to bring them the truth. Now, regarding the article itself, I don't want to spend too much time on this because everyone that is in the private community on level 2 or level 3 will today see my review on this exact article. I'll be going through it word for word, reading it out loud, and actually giving my insights on this because it is quite lengthy. You can see here it does go for quite a while. There is some points highlighted that I do want to definitely stress on that video. But what I do want to point out on the public side of things here is this particular breakdown, right? This table where they list all the coins that are zombie chains, so to speak. And most of this article, I'll admit, is quite redundant. Some of the points they bring up is absolutely stupid, to say the absolute best. I'm not going to lie to you guys. If you actually read this, and again, those guys in the private community will be able to for free. It's just so silly. Like the stuff that they bring up, they mainly talk about hard forks of Bitcoin and Ethereum. They don't talk about some of these other networks, and they also mention XRP at the beginning here. So it's quite silly. I honestly, I try to be very objective with my reviews on this sort of stuff. That is me being objective. It is just straight silly. And again, keep in mind, Forbes are the same guys that brought us the fact that SBF was a genius. Forbes even said that Bitcoin was going to die like 10 years ago. So you can't trust these guys. These are a bunch of typical Web 2, kids sitting in, what can we pretty much stir up here? And this is what they come to. Let me just break this down and mention the coins at least for now. Then we'll jump into James's video because James brings up actually seemingly valid points. Big shout out to you, James. I actually like you, mate. If you're watching this, again, I really do enjoy your videos. You're a very smart person, and I love some of the points you bring up, but I think you really missed the mark on this one, and you cause a lot of people to panic, right? So XRP, Cardano, Bitcoin Cash, Litecoin, ICP, Ethereum Classic, Stellar, Stacks, Casper with a K, Theta, Phantom, Monero, Arweave, Algorand, Flow, Multiverse X, Bitcoin, SV, Amina, Tezos, and EOS. All of the coins on this list, I believe, are good quality projects. I will get to the reasons why I think they might not do well this cycle, but they're still good projects. What they point out, though, is completely different. So let's get to it. Let's review the video.
Hey, everybody, I'm back again. Today is going to be an interesting one, and it's not one that I like to do, but I serve the community, I serve the audience here, and you asked for this. I came up with a thing called the zombie coefficient in 2021, and we actually built a model around it. Kind of interesting. So maybe Forbes is looking at my stuff. I hope so. Anyway.
Well, immediately that's a bit of a red sign, right? A bit of a red flag that he likes that Forbes reviewing his stuff, because again, that was an immediate telltale sign in retrospect that he's going to agree with them, right? Let's have a look.
These are cryptocurrencies that, despite having a high market value, huge market caps in some cases, they have no utility and no adoption. So the way I look at crypto, I look at it like a shopping mall, all right? You want lots of foot traffic. You want lots of stores, which are like dApps. You want lots of spending. You want, hopefully, people with lots of money. People won't steal your stuff. And that's what you want in a blockchain. This is what you don't want in a blockchain, or what I call a ghost chain, where there's no stores, garbage, no foot traffic. It's just dead, okay? And we will break it down as to
So I've used this analogy before in many of my videos, right? I've compared it to a shopping mall, okay? Or I think even a better analogy is what I come to now, which is the fact that a layer 1 blockchain, like the ones mentioned on this, these ghost chains, zombie chains, so to speak, if they're a nation state like Australia, for example, well, then the applications built on top are like the businesses, right? And of course, to transact in the businesses, to some degree, you have to, of course, use the underlying token, or in this case, the fiat currency itself. Yes, you're going to have projects that prosper more, like Uniswap, for example. There's a few others that are native to some blockchains that perform really well. Of course, in multi-chain applications that do well, again, like Uniswap, are like, multinational corporations that end up branching out, for example. It's a perfect analogy in my opinion. But what James is saying here is some of these projects, like the ones on this list, look like this, right? They're ghost malls. They're ghost nations, is what he's pretty much saying. The problem with this, as we'll touch on here soon, is that the projects he mentions, they don't actually have an application layer yet. So if we're looking at it at the mall analogy like this, they don't even have a mall created yet. The mall hasn't even been established. So there's no shops or dApps that can be put into these malls. So the prime example of this is Mina. Mina Protocol has this roadmap that they've established here, which is very bullish. This is why it's one of my research methods, okay? The roadmap itself gives an indication of when things can be kicked off. Now, Mina doesn't have an application layer, so that, mall hasn't been created, so to speak, yet. But when that mall is created, that's when you'll have more traffic, more people will begin getting interested in actually opening and walking through the mall. But again, it's a perfect analogy because you're not going to have any foot traffic if there's nothing actually there yet. While he's correct, okay, and we can use the example of Casper with a K here, Casper is just a layer 1 infrastructure project. I've called out Casper before for not having a mall, so to speak, or any applications on top. But there are different use cases for these. Not to mention as well, without boring some of you guys, is that when you look at a project like Casper, it will do well in this bull run because we're not worried. There's nothing concerning us at all regarding utility for this particular cycle. This cycle is focused heavily on this, Pumpermentals. I used to think like James, heavily utility. If there's no foot traffic, if there's no TPS, if there's no utility, if there isn't any applications on the project, it's crap. And for verification, go back to my videos over 12 months ago. You will hear me talk about this. I used to think like James. I come full circle back to what I'm showing you right now, what I teach. There's courses down below, of course, even free on my channel, talking about what I call Pumpermentals, narrative, mean, popularity, supply, and the team. This is basically all mainly built around one thing, and that's the meme. If it sounds cool, it's going to do well in this bull run. Why do you think projects that are meme coins have multi-billion-dollar market caps? Dogecoin has a higher market cap than some massive Web 2 companies out there. To be a massive Web 2 company, you're at a 500 mil, 1 bill market cap, you've done really well. That's a massive milestone, okay? That's a goal for many entrepreneurs. This is 21 times that size. This is 13 times, 3 times, 2 times, 1 times. Look at these meme coins. If you're someone who disagrees with me and agrees with James and agrees with Forbes, okay, in that utility means everything and speculation means nothing, then I want you to go down there and explain to me why these meme coins are at the point they're at. Okay, again, I think James is coming from a good place. He's coming from a fantastic place here. When I'm passionate, I'm also passionate and, I guess, angry with Forbes, okay? But again, James is kind of adding fuel to this fire, but it's not directed at this guy, okay? I like him. However, you can't tell me that if I rewind this video a little bit here, that this is what Dogecoin, Shiba, Pepe Coin, this is what their ecosystem looks like. Absolutely not, alrighty? People are buying because it's a cool idea. These are all meme coins, guys. Get used to it. Get used to it. I mean, you can't even argue a high-quality project that I love, like Render, actually is valued at a 4 billion market cap. No, it's not. Now, I expect Render to go to many, many tens of billions dollar market cap, but that's the beauty of crypto, is it's speculation. Rewire your brain. Get out of this utility focus. Get out of, all this, oh my God, Render has to have 1 billion users in order for it to actually be valued at X amount. No. Does it sound cool? Is it being lightly used enough for people to think there's something happening here? And again, falling back to Pumpermentals, does it have a strong roadmap? Is there any announcements we can expect on the horizon? Is it in popular and strong narratives, right? Yes, it is deep in AI. Is the supply not shit, right? Is the tokenomics good enough for people not to get scared by it? And is the team quality? If the team's quality, it acts as an additional meme. And a meme, just like meme coins, is the uniqueness, is how cool it is how good it is for speculation, okay? How many of us, put your hand up right now, came into crypto and literally went to CoinMarketCap or whatever exchange you were using and pretty much bought a couple of coins that you thought looked cool. Wakey, wakey, ladies and gentlemen, it's time to pay very close attention because I've got a hidden gem for you today. Kim Protocol, a DEX built on the new and popular Ethereum Layer 2 network Mode, has just launched their token and its future is looking extremely bright. With over $40 million in total value locked, community funding that sold out a $300,000 round in minutes, and over 80,000 followers on Twitter, it's safe to say that this project has a lot going for it. And since Mode launched yesterday, there's been a lot of buzz around this new ecosystem, with Kim, of course, being at the center of it all as the premier DeFi hub on the network. Kim, alongside Mode, are in for a huge bull run, and we can already see the telltale signs of this based on Mode's TVL. Incredibly, the TVL is already more than Linear, ZK Sync, Scroll, and barely trailing the giants like Optimism and Polygon, which is why they wanted to tell you all about sponsoring today's video. But it's not just the stats that are impressive. Kim's protocol is next level. Literally, they've upgraded their software to version 4, bringing along some insane possibilities like a modular fee structure, lower slippage, concentrated liquidity, and more. Basically, it's the best there is. One of the most unique aspects about Kim is that it offers additional utility called plugins, allowing DeFi to be plug and play and highly customizable, taking this industry to the next level. X plugins offer insane features like automated liquidity pool rebalancing to optimize your yield, gives liquidity providers a chance to do things like borrow against their LP tokens in lending protocols, enhances reward mechanisms like dynamic fee adjustments so that pools can actually offer higher yield based on performance, and even more. Developers can even create and submit their own plugins, which users can then stake their XKIM tokens to receive dividends on the fees generated. Oh, and did I mention they're actually planning to launch on the Optimism Superchain and Base shortly? Yeah, I know. Imagine the surge in demand. So, as you can tell, Kim is a highly interesting DEX that's about to take the DeFi space by storm. And if you want a closer look, you can do that by checking out the links down below. That's speculation buying. Many of us aren't too far past that degree of knowledge in that we don't really know how the ecosystem works, what project has what function, and so on. So, again, while I love your idea on this, James, while I think that your philosophy on this is good, I once agreed with you, it's flawed at least for this cycle. For future cycles, I agree utility will be king. When regulation pulls in, these, so to speak, ghost chains will fall. I've said this many times before, not for this cycle.
Let's look at the first step. Transactions per second. This wasn't something that was called out by our friends at Forbes, but these are the TPS levels. Now, what I did as well, just so you know, I broke it out between the smart contract platforms and the other tokens. Some of the other tokens really aren't really worth even talking about. First of all, they all have very slow transactions per second. We have analyzed 52.
First of all, low TPS isn't always a bad thing. Okay, so why is Cardano such a high market cap project when the TPS is apparently 0.6? First of all, like one of the guys in the comments underneath James's video mentioned, TPS is a weird number. A single transaction on Internet Computer Protocol can be represented by about like 10 transactions per second on Ethereum because they can do more functions, they can do more things, right? They're much more complex. So first of all, that's a bit of a difference there. But TPS is invalid when we're talking about these infrastructure projects that don't actually have ecosystems yet, okay? They're not actually being used for their intended purpose. Now, I'm going to use the example here of back when, Microsoft or Apple or OpenAI were first founded, okay? You can't look at these projects and these companies and immediately think to yourself, well, they haven't come out with a product yet, or if they have, the product hasn't had mass adoption yet, so they crap projects and throw them in the bin. That's what we're looking at here when it comes to TPS. If they have low TPS, or in other words, if these actual companies don't have many products or useful products, then they're crap, right? And we can kind of look back at Apple here and go, oh, well, these projects were discontinued after a certain amount of time and they were crap and there wasn't much adoption back here. But again, it took many years, decades for them to actually begin picking up traction in the, late 90s, early 2000s. And that's when things begin to pick up, right? It's a typical thing, I'm surprised he hasn't mentioned here, called network effects. You can't expect, first of all, new technology like these blockchains, these decentralized computers, and therefore also expect an economy to be built on top, which is what we're doing here. Building economies on top of this. It's just so hard. This takes a lot of time to establish. And so what James is looking at in terms of TPS here, I think is redundant, especially, again, because this cycle is fundamentally underpinned by fundamentals, by speculation investing based on very basic principles rather than deep analysis.
For 52 different chains, we have an average daily active user count of 41,077. By the way, when I talk about 52 layer 1s and layer 2s, a lot of them are complete garbage, right? This is the average. So if you're not even at the average, you should be concerned. And again, this is just numbers, everybody. Don't be offended. Phantom.
I like him because he mentions numbers. Yes, I agree, James. But we're looking at daily active addresses here. And the problem with this is that, of course, again, we're looking at the exact same projects I continue to mention in this video, right? We're looking at projects that don't actually have solid ecosystems just yet, particularly Web3 ecosystems where actual transactions are pretty much leveraged at this point, okay? So what he's pretty much saying is here, they don't have many daily active users because there's no applications to use. James, if you're watching this, I would love for you to have a look at the layer 1 flywheel, my friend, because layer 1 flywheel depicts what you're saying here. This is what these projects you're looking at pretty much have to do in order to be sustainable for the long term. You have to find the vision and protocol. Okay, this is from top to bottom, right? Investors provide financial capital, creating value for the token itself, which brings in people supporting and running the actual infrastructure itself, miners and validators, providing functionality, that base for third-party developers to provide useful applications to build the community. Now, the community is effectively what he's talking about here in terms of daily active addresses, but you can't have that without platform functionality and third-party devs building applications, which is the case of Mina, which is, again, Internet Computer, Multiverse, Excavator. They all pretty much fall into this category to some degree. Also, daily active users as well. The interesting thing about this is you're comparing these projects that are entirely new layer 1s that have to build a whole entire ecosystem, which again takes a long time to establish. It's part of network effects. This is the example of network effects, right? It takes a very long time, years and maybe even decades, to establish a network of people to use the product. Again, same as layer 1 flywheel, to actually build applications. But once there is that tipping point, it hits critical mass, which is when you go exponential, right? There is an actual tipping point in time. Facebook, any of these large network effect online businesses, okay, especially social media's a primary example of this. These take a long time to establish. And when you're looking at, protocols that are brand spanking new that have to onboard these developers via funding grants and all that sort of stuff, this takes a long time. You compare this to something like, Polygon or Ethereum that were like first movers in their respective areas that could bring a lot of developers without many ecosystem grants and stuff. They are obviously going to have network effects hit critical mass well and truly earlier than expected, comparably to these other layer 1s that are fighting for the market share, okay? They take a long time. I actually agree in the fact that, a lot of these won't last the next 10 years, but that's what I teach on this channel, right? I tell you the ones that will, based on loosely what he's saying here.
Next, let's look at fees. If a chain is not making money, it's not going to make it. It's that simple. Now, the average fee per smart contract platform of the 52 is $11,705. And you can see Phantom makes $2,600 a day. Algorand, $1,100. Flow, $6. ICP, $16. Elrond, nothing. Cardano, $5,900. Stacks, $10,500. Again, all under the average.
So, James, my response to the low fees, and it's not just yourself, other influencers as well have brought this up, that ICP, particularly having like barely any fees here. I might make myself a bit smaller. You can see here, ICP $16 a day, so on. So, these are all very, very low for these projects, admittedly, yes. But have you considered the fact that vesting schedules actually give a lot of these projects their tokens, right? So it's one thing to say, hey, the protocol is not generating any fees, but it's not generating fees usually because there's no ecosystem, and or if there is an ecosystem, it isn't because there isn't adequate, obviously, token absorption, right? And this is something I've spoken about many times before as well. The fees generated from transactions typically are split in many different ways, and a lot of these protocols take those fees to fund the treasury, okay, to keep the protocol running. That's one thing, yes, for the long term, that is important to look at, but not for this cycle, guys. This is where you can get tricked into watching these videos, again, like this one from James, and think to yourself, well, he's right, and he is honestly right about this particular thing, okay? But what he's wrong at is it's not important for this cycle. I'm sorry, but unless you are in your mind thinking, I'm going to hold for the next 10, 20 years, these coins, then you should be thinking the next 1 to 2 years, making money this cycle, selling and compounding those gains in the next bear market to then make much more. In this cycle, I'm investing a couple $100,000. I'm going to make a few $1 million at the end of the cycle. In the next bear market, I'm going to invest a couple $1 million. Then I can turn a couple million into 8 figures. 7, starting at 6, making 7, from 7 to 8, 8 to 9, 9 to bloody a trillion, whatever. But that's the point, okay? We're not holding for eternity here. I've disproven that method a long time. And also, many of these projects have ecosystem and community, foundation and treasury, team, advisor. They have these different parts of the distribution, right, that vest over time that allow them to take profits and fund themselves. That's not going to represent themselves in terms of fees. Fees is a long-term thing. This keeps them running in the short term, which is more important for this cycle.
See, this crypto compendium breakout, this is all, by the way, we've spent years building these things so we could share with you all of the truth. That's how I pick winners, how I pick the best Bitcoin miner, how I pick the best crypto, is because of insane thousands of hours of modeling, data gathering, API building to get all of this stuff. And we share it with you for free, so I hope you appreciate it.
Can I just say, James, one thing? I appreciate you doing this for the community, by the way. I love this. And this is, more data, the better. I love it. But what I've come to the conclusion of, you can't pull a project that is a 5 million market cap like Polygon once was, and then predict it's going to go to multi-billions in a single cycle based on data. Data doesn't show you that sort of stuff, because if the data represented that, the market cap wouldn't be 5 million. It'd already be multi-hundred millions or billions already. So the data can only pick up stuff once the stuff's already started to happen. What you have to look at again is the meme, is the idea, falling back to fundamentals. I mean, you don't have to listen to me. I'm not saying like, I know James, I've researched more than you have. Don't get me wrong, I've put in my hours. I'm just saying this is what I personally think. You can disagree, you can agree with James, that's fine. I'm just, again, very passionate because I just worry for some people, because they really have put a lot of money into these coins and are now panic selling.
XRP, fully diluted market cap, $51.6 billion. Cardano, fully diluted market cap, $20.2 billion. Bitcoin Cash, $9 billion. These are crazy. You've got all of these top 20 names. Okay, they have a market cap today of $90 billion and a fully diluted market cap of $122 billion. That's a lot of market cap. The question is, what do they do? The answer is not very much.
James, if you're watching this, I'd love to have a conversation with you about this. Now, we'll leave this as my last point because this video is getting quite long. Fully diluted market cap means nothing, okay? I've made many videos. I actually made a video recently touching on this, and I'll show you why here on CoinMarketCap, right? Fully diluted market cap. Let's use XRP because he talks about this in his video as an example. Fully diluted market cap means what would the market cap of XRP, for example, have to be right now if all of the tokens, all of the 100 billion tokens were in circulation, okay? So it's saying, hey, how much money to keep the current price would have to be purchased worth of XRP in order for it to say the same price, okay? So in this case, you can see fully diluted market cap down here being 51 billion. So it would pretty much, let's just roughly say, to keep the math simple, have to 2x. 2x in demand just to say the same price? What the hell? That's insane. It's a load of BS, because if XRP's tokens were vesting over 1,000 years, what does that tell us? You're saying, well, hey, in 1,000 years, it's going to have to double its demand. What you should do if you are someone who actually wants to try to analyze and use FDV, the only way FDV is ever useful in the case of cryptocurrency is if you are looking to, for example, with Manta, if you want to sell out here in, let's just say, May of 2025, you would work out how many tokens will be in circulation here, and then you can work out the fully diluted market cap from the point you're looking to sell. Then the difference in market cap from now and then, you can go, oh, there's going to have to be roughly X billion dollars injected into Manta to maintain the current price. There's also a second fallacy with this, and that's because you can see all of these different colors and shades here. This is all of the people getting their tokens. So if these tokens are being sent to these people OTC, which means directly, not sold on the open market, then repurchased on the open market, which never happens, then we're not going to have a direct impact in price, and the market cap will actually increase without there needing to be any direct value or extra money invested in the project. It's a big, big fallacy in the industry, and I'm telling you right now, it's going to get a lot of people wrecked. So let me finalize by saying that, right? And again, James, if you're watching, mate, I've got all the respect in the world for you. What you're doing for the industry is 10 out of 10 fantastic. I think you missed the mark on this. And matter of fact, mate, if you are watching this, I would love to get on a call with you and talk about this, whether it's privately or publicly. I don't mind. I'd love to have a conversation about it. And ultimately, Forbes, were they correct? No, these coins are great, guys. If you analyze them, they're going to be fantastic. That's why you got to do your own research. As for the coins, I'm a bit 50-50 on. Again, XRP, Cardano, Litecoin, Bitcoin Cash, XLM, Monero, possibly Algorand Flow. And the reason why I've picked them out is because they need to be focused on fundamentals. They need to have new tech. They need to keep up with the Joneses and their competition for this cycle and what the new standard for their industry is for them to actually prosper and do well. Plus, of course, tick all these boxes too. So, I think in the long term, some of these coins are going to do really, really great because they are focused on utility. But this cycle, look, again, follow me down below, guys, because I talk about this quite a lot on my channel. And I'll leave it there. Thanks so much for watching. Take good care of yourselves. Talk soon.